Welcome back, everyone. This is the Artificery Star Wars Unlimited podcast, episode lucky number 13 is what we're up to. I'm your host, Nick, aka the Gandork, and as usual, joining me we have Garrett, aka Zero Hour, and the other Nick, aka Taxter. How you guys doing?
Howdy.
Great.
Just great.
Yeah, doing good. Prepping for May 4th tournament.
Prepping
Awesome.
for 1K.
Yeah, let's
Yep.
just go into what have you been playing lately? Like, what do you have coming up? We'll start with Nick. What do you got?
Honestly, it's been I played a bit of Han in the last few weeks to just kind of play him because he's fun. Had a lot of fun with it. I don't think I'm going to bring him to the tournament. When it comes to actually prepping for that, it's been a lot of trying to get Palpatine to work. Palpatine blue, so yeah, still got work to do. Still need to get some more reps in. Aggro feels terrible into it, and that's like the big boogeyman is how much the meta is going to shift to aggro and how much I need to be worried
Yeah.
about that sort of thing. And otherwise,
Yeah,
I get to do draft too lately, but
that's good. I was gonna say if you're on Palp, like you're definitely hoping for like people trying to go control meta. Um,
yeah,
which I mean, considering control just essentially won an event we'll talk about here in a little bit, like that could be a thing that happens. But yeah, you're kind of up against it, and you hope to not see a lot of aggro matches.
I think it'll be a good mix of everything. So no matter what you pick, you're going to have bad matchups. I think it's going to be less skewed than it's been in the past. So yeah, I got to
Yeah,
draft for the last draft that my store was doing before they ran out of packs for the short term, at least. So that was kind of sad, but it was fun. No legendaries though, but I got a few hyperfoils out of it. Forces
that's good.
would
I
be my
got
favorite.
my one whole draft and haven't been able to draft since, so I'm still kind of jealous.
I did Sabine blue in the draft. Honestly, felt pretty good. I didn't use my Sabine power much because I also had security complex base, so I was like, well, and I think I played aggro in 2 of the 3 matchups too. So
Nice. How about you, Garrett? What you had going on? What have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of Luke Green. That deck's kind of my baby at this point. I have tremendous amounts of fun with it. Kind of plays all my mid-range strengths. Uh, I'm in a webcam tournament. I actually have a game tonight as we're recording this in about 2 hours, so that'll be nice and late my time. And I'm prepping for a 1K, which is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area on the 11th of May. So that should be a lot of fun. Got to do a draft. That was fun.
All you
I
guys in
ended
your
up,
draft.
yeah. He had 3 boxes in. He's saving them all for draft. So we did an 8-player draft, and I ended up with Boba and 2 Leias. So I was pretty much going to play Leia, and then my first pack I opened was the rare was a fire spray. So I'm like,
nope, there
well, I
you
guess
go.
I'm playing Boba.
It's
And
pretty
I
good.
went 3-0 in that one, which was tough because draft is always tough. But it was fun. I love draft. I really want to do more of it.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
22 people on Friday for our draft, which was an 8 pod, an 8 pod, and a 6 pod.
Yeah, he capped it at 8 so that we can do 3 of them.
Yeah. So yeah, my store isn't doing draft. It's still getting like the pretty regular like 3 boxes per month that the other stores seem to get, but like we regularly get 30-ish players every week and they do
Yeah,
pack per win. So like they're giving out like a box plus of prize support every week, so they're just keeping it all for prize support.
yeah, and we don't even have that at like the other store that I play at weekly. Like we've just been at no constructed tournaments. Like I've just been since that's the one I've been like facilitating more or less. We basically just went to open play. Like we could do a best of one non-competitive, just play people tournament. But honestly, like it's kind of like some people want it that some people are just like, no, I just want to play because you get a lot more games than if you're just playing the same, people a few times, switch it up, play a few people, switch it up, kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
for sure. But yeah, we've just been doing our regular constructed, and I've this past last Friday I played Sabine Yellow, which was kind of mean because she's like hardcore aggro, and I just kind of steamrolled everybody in rude fashion. But I've been pretty high on like the Sabine yellow version of the deck into like the current meta. Like I think a lot of people are trying to run like the slower control stuff. Like even locally, like I've seen people that have come out and they're like, I'm gonna play Iden or Vader control or like things like that. And I'm like, I'm just gonna play some aggro and run over them. Plus, I feel like when I'm running the event, like I can't play control. It just takes up too much of my time in the rounds when I have to like
when
do
you're
all
actually
the
having
other
to do
stuff.
that stuff.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like, I
one of
can
the
play. Sorry, what's that?
the Sabine Yellow. We're going to talk about the 5K, but the
Right.
Sabine Yellow deck that top aided that is in my group for the Infinite Gaming Webcam League.
Oh,
I
okay.
saw that and I was like, yeah, Frank. I played against it a few weeks ago, and I put control down. He's like, well, you're not going to have a good time, and I did not. I lost to 0-2, and he spanked me.
So
He's a
is
great
Sabine
guy.
Yellow even worse for the control matchup overall? Then, like, I know you
I
have to
believe
shrink
He
so.
Sabine a
is.
bunch.
Yeah, like I've talked to a lot of people like in like KTOD and the various other communities, and like they feel like Green Sabine is probably favored into a lot of the control matches, but like my feelings is I feel like yellow is probably a little bit better because like when you're trying to play the green version of it into control, like you don't often get presented with a lot of good like ECL overwhelm targets, which is kind of what the
No,
Green
not
Sabine wants to
really.
do.
Yep.
Yeah, so like it loses like its burst because like that's how like Green Sabine bursts like the other mid range decks or the other is like I'm gonna flip Sabine and then ECL the Steadfast
Right.
Battalion into your guy and overwhelm your base for 5.
Yep.
And yeah, Green Sabine doesn't have any combat tricks other than some of them run like Rebel Assault, like that's it. But like
Yep.
Which
yellow
is okay.
version,
Yeah.
yeah,
You get
Rebel Assault,
Falcon. You get Rogue
Yeah.
Operative.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
yeah,
so
it's
Falcon is huge, and Rogue Operative
yeah.
just to be like punching
Yellow
for
gets more
4.
damage creation on its own. It doesn't rely on what its opponent does. Like you get your surprise strikes, you get sneak attack, which I've even had fun of in mind to like get something in ready. You get Falcon, which just comes in and is ready. Like just a lot of ways to generate that
which
extra damage.
which is why like I feel like I don't know. I feel like Palpatine Blue is like uniquely just feels scary into aggro because like for some of those decks, I really want to be in red where I have at least open fire because at the end of the day, that'll kill pretty much all the aggro threats. I mean, if I could put like 9 copies of open fire in my deck or an equivalent of something like that, that's basically what I want for my anti aggro package. Like, just
Right.
load up the early game 15 open fires. There you go.
that'd be nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been like the problem I feel with like some of the control things. Like when you go into red, you lose a lot of like healing and sustain. Like there's no restore in red, so you're like but I don't know. You
But
can
like
play
that's what like
Emperor
with
red. That would be the
Iden
thing.
red, you got
Or
Iden for
Iden
all the
red.
restore. You have vigilance for the restore. You have
Yeah,
Devotion.
devotion.
that's what you gotta look to in Palp Blue, I guess. It's
That's I
just
mean I'm messing around with devotion. I haven't really gotten to test it in ideal situations.
It's
Because ideally
nuts.
devotion like helps you with some good break. Like if you throw down Inferno 4, throw a devotion on it, now you can start chopping A-Wings in half. That seems really good. Does it happen? I don't know. I haven't gotten it to happen in like
yeah.
all the games I played with it the other night when I
Yeah, and
first put it
I
in.
do like devotion. Like if they lane dodge you and like you're in space and they're on ground, or vice versa. Like
And if you
devotion
get
does
to Pelp,
cancel out like a unit. Yeah,
you put devotion on him, he's probably not dying, and he's just gonna call you back in.
yeah.
Like
I mean,
that's the thing is like if you're getting to Pelp and then you can slap something like other kind of heals or you slap down a reinforcement walker, then like those are the things that get you out of the like for a cause finish range, which are the things that are really scary at the end game there
Yeah.
for a lot
yeah,
of
for
those kind of
sure.
decks.
Like you need something to stop to stop you from getting burned out, and that's what that does. So yeah, segueing into that, let's talk about the 5K tournament that they just had in Kissimmee, Florida. And I don't know, I pretty much spent all day watching it online because yeah, I was having a lazy Sunday and I watched the whole thing. But yeah, we don't have like all like we have some total breakdown. Like the event was still like 37 Boba Fett's out of 141 players, I think it was.
Yeah.
24 Sabines, 15 Vaders, 15 Idens, and 12 Leias was like that was like the big part of the meta. Kind of the stuff that we expected in Boba, Sabine, Iden, like people kind of peg those as D decks. The amount of Vaders, I think, was a little bit surprising.
That was
Like I don't,
pretty high. Like it's as many
yeah,
Vaders as Idens.
I
and
was
then Vader,
surprised by it.
then yeah, spoiler: Vader turned around and won the whole thing. Um, but yeah, I guess talking about like the top cut decks, it was won by I think it was Guy Cohen,
Yep.
playing a Vader Blue deck, which was very interesting. Like you can see all these decks on the ppgeventmanagement.com website. Um, but yeah, like I don't know. Is there any decks or anything you guys want to highlight in the top to like talk about, or to Garrett?
It was
Luke?
cool. There's Luke there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I
that's the
like
best showing I think we've seen on Luke in like
it
anything this
is.
big. So
It definitely inspired me to make a couple of changes to my Luke. Home one, namely. Like that ended up in
you
my
didn't
deck.
have him?
I wasn't using home one. I was running more redemptions. But
That's
I think
fair.
home one's probably better. I mean, getting two things onto the field with it is really good. Not getting the instant heal is less good, but it's still like pretty scary out there. Um, yeah, I like that deck a lot. Like I didn't have R2 in my deck originally. Uh, I added R2 in and Devotion and Luke's lightsaber. Yeah, I made changes.
Mm. Yeah,
And
The Luke
yeah,
deck was built and piloted by Philip Ritchie, just to give him credit. And I watched all of his games that he was on stream, and I was really impressed with the Luke deck as well. And I think the most impressive thing to me with this Luke deck that I think that everybody was talking about is it was 5-0 versus Boba Green. I don't know if
Luke's
they were all Boba Green. It might have just been 5-0 versus Boba, but he did not
It was
drop a
yeah.
match versus Boba the whole day.
Yeah.
Luke's good
I mean
against
that's where you want
Boba.
to be. If you got Luke beating Boba, that's a good place to be. I mean,
Luke's good against Boba. Like he just is. You can deal with most of his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that going in, most people thought that Luke was probably maybe a little bit weak to Boba, and they weren't quite sure why this list was good. But I think a lot of people, or at least I don't know, I've heard some people maybe mention that it's the 30 hit point base instead of trying to force Energy Conversion Lab. Just gives you the extra room to maneuver around for the Boba wins.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't use ECO in mine.
I wouldn't say that's a bad take. Luke historically doesn't have a lot of like the big gimmicky plays that people are trying to pull off with it. So like, yeah, you could hit a Kanan or like a Obi-Wan or something. Like I don't know, like your 4, 5, 6 drops that you'd want to do that with are not like the biggest deal. I mean, I can
Right.
see why you'd want it for aggro, but otherwise, like versus the Boba, like no, I think the extra health to buy you the time to get to the big stuff that you need, and then you stabilize with shields and Luke and
Yeah,
Boba
and I
doesn't have a
remember
great answer to
watching.
Luke, right?
Oh,
Like Luke
what's that?
unit or Luke Boba doesn't have like a direct answer to Boba or Luke leader, I guess. I guess
No,
like
they
maybe
kind
you
of like they
surprise
can
strike
waylay
them
it,
and
which feels bad. Um, But yeah, they don't have a good direct answer. And the thing that I thought was cool watching him play the Bobas was how much Bright Hope can just shut down Fett's Fire Spray.
yeah,
Yep.
Bright
Like,
Hope's
just
awesome.
straight
Just in
log
general,
jams it.
great card.
Bright Hope is the best. It is my
Yeah.
favorite card in the deck, and I'm not even I'm not being hyperbolic. That card has saved me so many times.
Yeah, there was a few matches on stream where like he was against Boba and the opponent would play like the Fett's Fire Spray and then he'd play the Bright Hope and then start shielding the Bright Hope with like Luke Leader after he flips and it's like, yeah,
Yep.
your
Yeah,
Fets can't
gross.
get through the Bright Hope.
They're just stuck
You
forever. Yeah,
can't. You're
that
just stuck behind this stupid
beautiful.
thing.
I played last night. I brought my Luke Green because I'm trying to just refine it for the 1K, and yeah, and even against aggro, it's great because like aggro usually runs A wings or defender. Like if you're playing Bobo will run defenders, so you just drop that, put a shield on it. What are you gonna do? Like you can't do anything to it. It's got 6 health. If you're running wing leaders, you get it to 8. Like
Did the Luke deck get knocked out by Sabine or Vader then?
The Luke deck got knocked out by the Vader.
Vader.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
lost in the
That
semis
makes
right before the
sense.
finals
And I'd
to the
imagine
Vader
it
deck.
wouldn't do super well versus well, one, a Vader that can ping your stuff, your shields off, and two, just
That
like
yeah.
that kind of control, it's just gonna sit on top of Luke and kill all that stuff.
Yeah, which I can't. Yeah, that matchup was on stream, and that's kind of pretty much like Luke's problem. Like you get to like super laser blast, and it's like I don't care how like entrenched in your board. You're like, I'm just gonna wipe it, and
Yep.
then you're playing off your back foot, and you're gonna lose. And yeah, like Guy won with the blue Vader 2-0. Like it wasn't even really close.
I mean,
Yeah, Luke does spend a lot of the game just trying to claw the board control, and then like you just kind of get ahead when you're at like all your big stuff. But
like
one
Luke,
super
Luke
laser
just
does kind of
swinging
ruin
for
it.
Luke just swinging for 9 damage. Like, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
a gap I see in the Luke deck is there's no the Force is with me, which I mean, like, what am I going to say? He top 4 to a 5K, but like,
Right.
the Force
Heart
is with
feels
me
good.
can punch through Vader really well. Like, you just put that on Luke, you get the shield, you hit him. Like, I think for our not for our cause, the Force is with me is a really good card. Yeah, this is more his deck's more aggro Luke than control. I feel like there's only one takedown in it too.
Yeah, the
But
one takedown is a
He had
weird
like
choice
very
to
little
me.
removal. Period.
Yeah.
Right. Like it was
Yeah,
very.
he was playing total board value. He had one takedown and one Akbar.
yeah, the only events in the main deck is one takedown and 2 U-wing reinforcement. Oh, and resupply, 3 resupplies.
I think there was an interview with this guy on Max DeParis' channel, which I haven't had a chance to see, but I also wonder like if he just didn't want to run vigilance, because I feel like this archetype would love vigilance, just like the blue Vaders do.
I mean, I can see why you would run this like that. It just makes the decision trees in your head easier sometimes, where it's just like I don't have to think about removal. I'm just gonna slam units down, and you have to deal with it. Like it doesn't matter.
Proactive Luke.
Yeah. Just here's 4 units. You deal with it. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. Other notes. Let's see. What's some other interesting things from the top cut? The second place runner up was Andrew Cox on a Boba Fett green deck. Not a huge surprise, but they did have some interesting decisions in their list. Like they did not run Consortium Star Viper's main deck, which I think was kind of like they decided.
I think that's correct. Like
Yeah,
unless you're
they
like
were
losing
tech
aggro
against.
without it.
Yeah, they were tech more against the control matchups, I think, and not as much aggro.
And I think Mike said that they didn't even lose to aggro even without that. So it just proves that it wasn't necessary in Boba.
Yeah. Reflex or Andrew Cox was running Cunning main deck, which I wasn't running Cunning. I don't know. I kind of toyed with it in my Sabine Yellow. I have it in my side, and I do bring it in some matches. I like it. Like if you do go against some of those aggro games, or even some of those mid-range like Neri type games, like Cunning sometimes just says I win, even if you're paying 6 for it. So I did like that inclusion.
I mean, Vigilance is the one I'm cool with running at 6. Cunning in some decks, this one is one I'm fine with paying 6 for. Like I think Cunning's really good too. I wouldn't pay 6 for the other two, but those are the two that I think you can pay 6 for and feel fine about it most of the time.
Right. And I think the last thing that was kind of interesting in their list was the Recruit, which is a card not a lot of people are on. And essentially they were playing it as just another one cost option. Like when you get that Boba Fett resource ready, like sometimes it just made sense to have an extra card in there to smooth your draw. Was essentially
that is definitely like what I've talked to some people about. Or just like even before the tournament about how like the future of Boba might involve Recruit, just because what does everybody fear? Everybody fears the blowout Boba turn, right? Like the Boba that gets 8 resources on round 3 and crushes and stays ahead and has the perfect curve with fire spray and Vader, etc. to follow that up, and then barrages. Like that's the Boba that wins. So Recruit kind of makes sense in that.
Yeah.
Also, it makes sense as I need to find my
Yeah.
ramp, because like that's the other thing. You don't draw ramp, you kind of feel bad too. So
yeah, I was gonna say probably it also like one of the weaknesses that I think the way Boba loses games is that it runs actually a lot of events, and like it really sucks if you get to that late game and you're like, I drew resupplies and waylays and surprise strikes and no good me deads and shoot first and overwhelming barrages, but like my board's empty. Like I don't have threats on the board, and I'm just like not doing anything. Like
And that
I've
gives
seen
it
a lot
like
of Bobas lose that way.
so many dead cards versus like the blue Vader, the red Iden, where it's just like you never have any units, and I don't have any units for you to barrage, even if you did have units. So like your hand just literally just keeps getting fuller and fuller of like garbage that you can't play.
I mean, that's how I with my Luke deck. That's how I deal with Boba. Like I'll trade and trade and trade, or shield and
too,
attack. Like I'll just try to keep the board clear, and then just
eventually you'll get there because
I really like the Emperor's Legion in the sideboard too.
In Luke?
No. In Reflexes.
That would be spicy.
No, it would be, but I don't want to pay that much for that in Luke.
Yeah, I saw that in I got that played against me in our last like 1K tournament.
It's like, you're gonna Super Laser Blast me? Go for it.
Yeah.
I'll just get them all back.
Yeah, for sure. And let's see. I think in the top 4 we had that we hadn't talked about. We had Michael Carlock on a green Sabine deck, and I kind of want to like. There's one interesting thing all the green Sabine decks had in common that were in the top 16 that I thought was interesting, and none of them ran Echo-based Defender. Which people are like, why is that? And I've talked to like some of the, or at least I've not talked to them, but I've seen conversation around like from John Tata, who also ran Green Sabine, and a couple of the other people that ran Green Sabine, why they moved away from Echo-based Defender. They realized it just died to like any random 2-drop that most of the decks were playing, or 3-drop. And they would
like so does. Okay, I guess that's true because like
they would rather have a 4
Fighters
health
for Freedom, Fighters for Freedom, 1 less damage, but
yeah, or like when you're trying to lane dodge, it'd be like, okay, you start with A-Wing and they drop like a Viper Probe Droid, and then like next round,
now you can't
like,
play it into that.
Yeah, you can't really like Echo-based Defender feels bad, but like Fighters for Freedom feels great, kind of thing in that matchup because it's something you can throw on the ground that just doesn't die to what they played. So I don't know that was an interesting. Like, yeah, pretty much all the green Sabines moved away from Echo-based Defender main in favor of having 4 health things that they could drop on 3.
It's interesting because you think like it's greedy to like basically it doesn't seem like it'd be the greedy play to play the Sentinel, but it is kind of because it's the 4 attack less health, and health is very important.
Yeah, and people be like, "Oh,
honestly,
4 attack better," but
Fighters, if it stays around for a round, you're going to play a red card probably, and it's still going to hit for 4. So
it still takes them 2 things to go into it. Yeah, no, I think.
And I was going to say that's the important thing. People are like, but the Echo-based Defender has more power, but it's like doesn't matter if it doesn't survive to swing. Like I would rather Fighters for Freedom with Saboteur, and a bigger butt is like this is almost guaranteed to hit the base. Where Echo-based Defender
and the extra damage, you're getting extra damage out of it. You should be getting extra damage out of it anyway. Because
if you do or don't, like, I think, it's here or there. And it's kind of the same reason in my Yellow Sabine. Like, that same spot is either, like, Rogue Operative or Ezra or even Fighters for Freedom for the same reason. Like, I'm not really looking at anything with 3 health. Like, you can play the swoop racer. No, thank you.
Like, Fighters for Freedom, I played in one of my games last night. He was playing Leia Red and dropped 2 of those at the same time, and I was like, "Well, that's not good." I lost game 1.
That's really bad.
2 of them at the same time is like, well, for a cause does 6 damage to me now, and that's bad. Like,
that's when it
feels bad.
That's when you reach into your Destiny box and pick up easy pickings and remove both of them.
No, see, that's when I scoop and say, "Let's go to game 2 so we have enough time."
There you go.
Yeah, and I guess we've kind of danced around it, but we should talk about the winner's deck a little bit. The Blue Vader, the deck that'll probably be seeing a lot of play at your local, if anybody's been following it. I've been a big proponent of this deck going back. Like, I looked it up on like the community Discord. I literally posted my Oops All Removal Vader in December of last year, like 4 months before the game came out. And I've been talking about it forever. And this deck isn't that far off from like some of those original things that I posted.
I mean, it was the best you could do with the cards at the time. we were missing like half the set.
Like, I mean, I updated along the way too, so I like had some post-release updates, and this is pretty close. Like, there are some interesting things that like I didn't run that I would point out. Like, he didn't run TIE Fighters at all, just didn't want to go the space lane, but still ran all the Death Star Stormtroopers. Which it's hard to not run Death Star Stormtrooper because of the efficiency.
Oh yeah,
Like it
it's so
trades,
good.
it activates Vader's ping. Like ties, I kind of get. The other thing that was really interesting to me was he ran two I Am Your Fathers. And I talked to both. Okay, so I have to say, this deck was piloted by Guy to win, but it was actually built in combination with the other Vader in the top 8. And their deck lists weren't the same, but it was George Hudson, George the Hulk on the Discords. They built this together, and like they both agreed that like I Am Your Father, which was kind of like mock, like why is this in there? And they're like, no, this card was actually like really important to like winning lines in a lot
Not
of
going
matches.
to work in every matchup, but like
Yeah, and it wasn't for the aggro. Like aggro, they're like this gets sided out, this gets resourced.
Yeah.
But like those mid range or control mirrors, it's pretty easy to work your way into a position where like either of those are beneficial. Like either dealing the 7 damage or getting the 3 cards, like can both help you win the game.
well,
Like
yeah,
they pointed out most of, and the
Boba,
weird, yeah, what's that?
Boba flip. I am your father. Do you really? You're not going to kill him,
Right?
No.
Give me 3
Like yeah,
cards.
that's one spot where like against Boba, it drew them cards a lot of the times, and they really liked having those cards like in cases. The
It's
other
the
thing they
illusion.
like,
It's the illusion of choice. Like you're giving
yeah,
someone a choice, and it doesn't really matter because you don't care what they pick. It's going to help you either way.
yeah.
And
The
that's the
other
only time
interesting,
you do want to play it. Feels
Yeah.
terrible if you're not doing that. But I think you can in most games versus like non-aggro at least, you should be able to find a situation to use it.
Yeah.
It just
yeah,
is
aggro
it
just
better
lets you
than
have
any
fun
other
zones
card?
there.
That's the only question I think is if it's as good as every other card in your deck or if it's the
Yeah, the other line I
60
thought was funny. It was like in the aggro mirrors, like your opponent plays an Avenger. I Am Your Father plus Vader's ping can kill their Avenger, which is kind of rude because it's 7 damage. So like you can pay 3 on their Avenger,
Yeah.
and they could be like, "Oh yeah, I'll take the 7." And then you'd be like, "Psych, Vader's gonna ping the extra damage through to finish you
I
off,"
mean,
or you just
likely
let
you
me have
draw
3
3,
cards.
it's going to die either way.
Right? Yeah. So like, yeah, there's just a lot of scenarios like that where they talk about like they'd played a lot of different things, but it just had a lot of winning lines in some of those matchups that were like mid game or control, where they went long, where either they were just getting insane value because they paid 3 for 7 damage, or they were getting insane value because they paid 3 to draw 3 cards, and either way, they were way up.
Yeah, like I don't think it's a card you can run in every deck, like every villain deck. But I think specifically in this one, I think it works really well.
Yeah, especially with the ping off Vader, like
Yeah, being able to
regardless,
turn that
like
on, it's very good.
yeah, it turns even if they let you draw, you still turn on the ping. Childson's in this deck, which actually I've seen in pretty much any blue control, like not even mono blue. Like Childson has been going into Iden's, it's been going into Vader's, it's been going into
Yep.
Krennic's lately. Like people
I've
are
been running
really
them in
high on
Krennic.
Yeah,
the
when I played
value.
Iden Red, it was very, very good. I think the first list you handed me only had 1. I put 2 in. I should have had 3. Like it just was that good.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to you're trying to talk me into it for Pell, but I'm like I just don't think the numbers are there. I think
I need to talk you into I
I
Am Your
need I need
Father
to
too.
well
Because
I
of the
could try it.
combo. That's the other thing they're saying. Like I Am Your Father, they make you draw 3 cards, and
That
you're
is
like,
pretty
okay, well,
good. The
Childson's going to
tournament
be a
form.
6/6, guaranteed.
That is a good combo.
He's so good against Boba too, because it's like, okay, well I play him and he's a 6/6,
You
so
can waylay it.
go
That's like
for
your
it.
best hope.
I mean, sure, waylay it, and then
It
I'm just
comes
gonna
back
play.
out.
I'm gonna play him.
Waylay on
I'm gonna play him
Childson's not
again.
great.
I know.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's an option to get past him for a round,
Sure.
but like yeah.
I'll just play him again at 6/6. Like, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, this deck was running the 3 Vigilance, which every single blue aspect control deck is running now. Like, it's
Yeah,
just
it's pretty much
insane value.
undecided.
Like, yeah, it just does everything you want. It's good against aggro. It's good against control. You can find
It's like kind of
spots in
weird
mid
where like
range.
versus like mid range you might just pull it out in the sideboard.
I run it. My Luke deck runs Vigilance and sideboard.
Yeah, I don't know, it'd be tough. And then like the last weird thing in the list to me is just only 1 interceptor and 3 patrol crafts. I don't know about that. Like I like interceptor is really good.
Keeps the
It's also
blue up.
villain. I
It's
know.
proactive
Yeah.
versus like well, I like the ideally the patrol craft can tank 2 hits and kill 2 things a little bit easier. but
The
at the same
interceptor
time,
kills almost all the things you care about, though.
it's true. It's like it's an interceptor immediately gets rid of it.
Yeah, but patrol
But then
craft
the
can tank
patrol
the
craft
hit
can
from
get-
that fire spray if that's all you need it to do.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the
So like
interceptor
patrol
can
craft
do.
feels better versus boba. It's more generally more useful. But like
Yeah.
you throw that down on aggro, you could also just get combat tricked. Like, oh well, I'll just heroic sacrifice my A-wing into it, or I'll just throw down red 3 and now I just kill it with one. Like if you're not getting the 2-for-1 with it, it doesn't feel as good.
Yep. And the last thing I don't know, I want more of, I can't remember if I remember them reading they want more of, but the Force Lightning in the main deck is actually kind of sick. And I don't know why I hadn't thought of this play until now, but like Force Lightning, even if you don't have a Force unit out, you can turn off and kill Super Laser Technician because it activates
this
Vader.
has come up a
Yeah, you
lot.
pay
Like,
one, blank the Super Laser Technician, pay
Loopy
one,
did a
Vader
video on
kills
it. He called it Zap the DJ.
Yeah, it seems
She's like,
really
yeah,
good.
you just put one on it and then you kill it, and then you're like, well, crap, I wasted my whole turn and I don't even get to ramp. Like,
right?
it's
Yeah, that seems
it's
like
kinda
because like
disgusting.
yeah,
Well, especially
RAM
like
stuff
in
you get out
Vader,
of
because
hand.
you zap it, then you Vader ping. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that's totally what it does. Like that's why I like it in here, and I'd probably run 2. I only had one main deck and none on the side. I like
love
that.
Force. I love Force Surrender in the sideboard. That card, when you get that card to work, it is devastating.
Yeah, like that's kind of weird though. Like I feel like this deck would have a hard time using it outside of like
Vader
the
can do it.
ping.
Vader can do it with
Yeah,
ping,
I was like
later
Vader
game.
can ping, but like that's like way late game. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
but then
when,
like so it's like you
that's when
need
Force Surrender's
at
good.
least 7 resources for that plus Vader ping plus whatever you played to enable the Vader ping. So like it's still gonna be on like a 9 or 10 resource turn probably.
Yeah, and I remember, like, I think there was a whole video interviewing Guy, I think, and he talked about Vader's lightsaber too, and how like they could kind of side out to be more aggressive in some matches if they wanted to be by bringing Vader's lightsaber in. So you just get to the point where you flip Vader and drop a lightsaber on him and just try to like attack aggressively.
Did he bring it out at all? Did he say?
Yeah, no, he did bring it. Yeah, he brought in Vader's lightsaber. I think a lot of times in the mid-range matches, I could be wrong there.
Okay.
Where they just like wanted to be more aggressive. Even maybe in some like aggro matchups where they just want to be more aggressive. But anyway, very very interesting deck. I like it a lot.
The whole top 16 is pretty cool. I mean, a Palp in there, Krennic, Han, Alea. Like it's there's good variants in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say diversity wise, I'm very happy with this compared to what was that?
Yeah, that was really good.
Europe event that had like
The
all
all Bobas.
like 16 Bobas. Just
But that was also oh yeah, that was also like only Swiss too, but that doesn't really I guess matter because that still would have been the top.
Yeah,
Well, but if they had actually cut to 16 there, it was better.
Yeah, they had like if they cut to 16, it was still going to be like 12 Bobas. Yeah. Like to be fair.
Okay.
I mean, like the percentages of Bobas played to Bobas in the top 16 is pretty even. There's more Sabines, I think, in the top 16.
Yeah, Sabine technically overperformed in that sense.
But
and then I know
cool variants.
I know the one thing that Mike from KTOD said was that I guess the Idens kind of got screwed based on West Coast pairings like stuff.
Yes. Okay. So I hadn't talked about this. So this is the controversy of the event that's kind of gone under the radar.
I've not heard this yet. So
all right. So yeah, here's the tea. So essentially, in the first round, like the tournament runners didn't realize that like Best Coast pairings had like actual draws and not a double loss. So you had like I think it was roughly like 10 control matches that got paired against each other in the first round. They all timed out, like they all got double losses, but they didn't get double losses because they marked it down as a draw in the system. So when they went to pair round 2, essentially like it took all the 1-0s,
paired them all again.
All the 0-1s paired them up, and it repaired all of the control decks that had draws against each other.
Yeah, so basically gave them all double losses, which is like
and then they went to time again, and then they fixed the double loss thing. So that was kind of the weird thing in the event that like a lot of control decks got essentially you're going to start 0-2.
So it's good to know that's the reason why Iden completely didn't perform. Is that like there's something behind it, not like Though to be fair, I feel like Green Knighton is not as like going to be as prominent as it was even without that information.
Yeah. So I don't like. It's hard to say like how much overall impact, but it feels like having some number of control players start off essentially 0-2 because of pairing issues is not good. Like,
No, and then they'll
definitely
probably get chopped
skewed.
up by aggro later too.
Yeah. Then
So
they're
there were 0 Jins, 0 IG88.
Not surprised.
What's the
wow.
other one
No
I'm missing
way.
here? Who else am I missing? There's one more.
There's one
Uh.
Cassian.
Yeah. There was a Cassian. There was a Thrawn. Chewie, Chirrut, Luke, Han, Jin, Inquisitor,
Hera.
IG,
Hera.
Hera. Yeah,
Oh,
no
yeah.
Heras.
No Hera.
Not surprising.
That's a little.
either.
That is a little surprising. We got Cassian. We can get a Hera.
I know, just not one guy out there wants to have fun.
Everybody knows that Hera's not that competitive, and then
She's
I
better
Probably
think
gonna
than
play Hera
there's people
this
that
week.
there's still
Justice
people
for
that
Hera.
want Cassian to be more competitive.
There's people
Yeah,
that want Hera to be competitive.
I
People
mean,
want
it's
to play their
true.
Spectres.
I feel like Cassian might be closer than Hera.
I'm bringing
though.
Hera to the 1K. No, I'm not.
You're like, I'm doing it. Justice for Hera.
That's money down the drain for you.
Gonna happen. Anyway, let's move on. So this week and last week, we've been starting to get more spoilers or previews, as they call them, from Set 2, Shadows of the Galaxy. They had a stream this week when really they were just kind of like playing some decks and stuff, but they did jump in a spoiler right at the end. The Pike Sentinel we learned this week, which was a 2-cost vigilance villain ground unit. It's a 2/3 underworld sentinel. Not super exciting, but still kind of exciting. Like, what do you guys think about the Pike?
I mean, I wish it was a 3/2 maybe, but I mean, that's fine.
I mean, I
That's
love
what
it
I
for
need.
Krennic.
I just need. Oh yeah, really good Krennic. I just want to like throw like 500 Sentinels in my deck and that just be the entire deck. Just like, yeah, here's another one. Here's another one. What are you gonna do? Just smack it again?
I mean, I play the
That seems
Scout Pike
fun.
and Krennic now. I'd rather play the Pike Sentinel.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd probably play both.
But if I have to make a choice, given a new card pool coming, like it's probably going to be the Pike Sentinel.
Yeah,
I mean, the only awkward thing is like there's like the meta of like 3 damage, 2 drops on the ground.
Right.
So like it does still just kind of lose to that whole thing, and without follow up damage. Like at least you're not taking it to the face, but it would be nice if you had follow up stuff. I would like to see more area control spells stuff or events. Like we basically only have bombing run, Palpatine, overwhelming barrage right now. I mean like actually like kill stuff, not like temporary stuff. Outmaneuver's fine, but
yeah, I think the big thing with a 2-drop Sentinel is that Sentinel, like even as a 2-drop, can be very relative if you draw it in the later rounds, like
yes,
as
because
opposed
it
to a
can
lot
chump
of the
block.
2-drops you can run, because it can chump block something. So that's the big thing that makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Moving on to way more interesting card that also got spoiled this week, and this was through their socials. Dr. Evazan.
That is a cool card.
Love it.
Yeah, he's a 2-cost cunning villain, unique unit. Obviously, he's a ground unit. He's a 3/3 for 2, which we're in Battlefield Marine area. He's also shielded, and you're like, what? He's got all this crap going for him. What's the
Best
drawback?
2-drop in the game.
Yeah, well, he has a bounty
For somebody.
Yeah, he has a bounty. So if
Everybody.
your opponent kills him, they get to ready up to 12 resources, which screams theme.
It's absurd. It's theme, but yeah.
Why
He's got
12,
the
you
death
say?
zones in 12 systems. Whatever it is from the movie. Yeah, Taxter, what do you think about this one?
Oh, I mean, I think this dude's really awesome. Like, best 2-drop in the like. I don't know. It's definitely like a weird place where like, when does the bounty come off? How does the bounty come off? Like, can you prevent it? Can you like if you have initiative and you just trade with him after his shield's been knocked off? It's like you play him on round 2, you get to either trade into stuff. Like I don't know, like just the fact that like if you just trade him off before they get to spend resources, they get no value from the bounty, and you have this stupid unit that did stupid things. I think I've seen a good player is going to be able to do a lot of good with it.
Yeah, like just going off the community Discord, it's run the gamut of this guy is busted and this guy is the worst card they've ever printed. I've seen both of those.
I mean,
opinions.
maybe
he's
don't
somewhere-
play him when your opponent's
Yeah.
on 12 resources.
He's,
You know,
he's somewhere
that's
in
going to be a
between,
bad
like,
situation.
I like him. I think it in a worst case scenario, you can always force lightning him yourself. It's
Once
silly,
you take
but
the
you
shield
can do
down.
it. Yeah, but like I think he's fine. Like there will be uses for this. I just hope there's a card that lets you give away a card to your opponent. Like
Yes, that would be cool. Be like, okay, I'm done with this now. You have it. I'm going to ready up.
You take it and I'm gonna kill it.
Be like,
No,
here, you take this. I'll draw a card, and then
No, like people were like, "Oh, it's a free takedown." Like, please play takedown on my 2-cost unit. I'm 100%.
Yeah, this is some of the other things I was thinking of. Like, I know, like you'd be like, okay, well, someone plays Power of the Dark Side round 2 against it. I'm trying to think of like, okay, they ready up everything, and then they can control your next thing. Like, yeah, they can, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, it does seem like a good thing for like the control side of it, but at the same time, like, you could also chew through your hand a lot faster if you're just playing 6 resources out on round 2.
It's the
And then you
balancing
run out
act
of
with
cards.
control. Yeah,
It is a very weird balancing act.
Yeah, I definitely like from my perspective, I fall into Dr. Evazan is really, really good. And
Yes, that's
I
my
think yeah,
I'm
I
there
think
as well.
people fall into the trap like in their theory crafting too often of like imagining your opponent always has like the perfect play to counter. So they're like you said, oh, they're gonna have Power of the Dark Side and then another 3-cost card to use those resources. And like just next time you play your game, like pay attention to like how your early curve looks in a lot of your decks. Like you're not holding 2 3-drops, you're not holding 2 4-drops. And like maybe you can make the adjustment to Evazan, but like you have a very small window to do so before he gets a lot of value
The value, yeah.
essentially for what you're getting. So I'm not like like it will
Well, then,
suck if they have Power of the Dark Side into a super laser technician.
and then there's
Yes.
the Grand Inquisitor value here, where you hit with him for 3, and then you hit with him for 3, and then you ready him and hit with him for 3, and he's still alive at 1 if you haven't traded into like you can do not if uninterrupted in Goldfish Land, you get 9 damage with him on round 2. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like the high end on this from the user side is really strong, and I just don't think you're going to get more than a few resources off of this ever, even if it does come up.
Yeah,
No,
I
it'll
just
be
think
fine.
it's hard to know if you'll be able to spend the resources that you get. Like that's the thing with Evazan's bounty is it puts all of the weight, all of the onus on your opponent to be able to actually benefit from this bounty. Like
Yeah.
it's not like they're drawing a card or they're giving an experience to the like this is a bounty that is you have to be very specifically ready to take advantage of immediately or you just don't get any advantage out of it.
Yeah.
I think is the thing. Anyway, moving on. Spoiler from I think this was today actually.
Yeah.
Yep. The blue cost or the vigilance, just single vigilance ground unit, Faller of the Way. It's 2 cost. It's a 1/3 Mandalorian, and while this unit is upgraded, it gets +1/+1. Garrett, what do you think about the Follower of the Way?
I like it. I think it's dependent on whatever upgrades we're going to see coming out of the new set. There are good upgrades you can put on it now, but
XP
I think
is still an upgraded.
it is.
And
Devotion
your first
is also
XP is
an
worth
upgrade.
double. Yeah.
But like I feel like it's fine. I feel like I'm sure I will play this in some decks. I think like my mono blue Krennic would love this card because you play that and put the one that gives it Sentinel on there. But like I think it's going to be dependent on what Mandalorian synergy it will be, and there will be Mandalorian synergy because you've watched the shows.
It's worse than an A-Wing, and it's on the ground.
It's worse than an A-Wing until you give it something. I don't know. I think it's fine. It doesn't blow me away, but I think it's kind of cool.
I feel like what I want to play this with is like, oh, you play this on round 1, and then round 2, if there's like a Mando wing leader that we see, like a play a unit, maybe shittier stats, but then it comes and gives an experience to a Mando unit. Boom! Now you got a 3/5 on round 2 that's smacking for whatever you want. Like that feels good. Obviously,
But
worse
if
if you don't
something
have
gave it
initiative.
2 XP, it would be a 4/6.
Oh, I was saying like even 1 XP, but yeah, like 2
Oh,
XP would be insane. Like an actual wing leader on it would be really good.
There's going to be a Mandalorian jetpack, right? Like we all know it's going to be there.
I mean, that guy's flying already.
Yeah,
He's a ground
like
unit.
he's going to have 2 jetpacks.
One
Yeah,
funny
between-
thing, one funny thing I thought of with this, and they haven't spoiled any other ones, but like technically, if you play this guy and your opponent has Wanted in their hand, and they want to play Wanted on your follower of the way,
Yeah.
to give him a bounty, that's technically an upgrade, and he gets +1/+1. So like,
Well, can you give your own guys bounties?
I think the
Why
bounties
not?
are just upgrades.
You're like,
you can play them
I'll
on
just
whoever
play
you want.
I'll play Wanted on me. Fuck it.
Yeah, just 0. But yeah, I just find that it's like, you're going to put a bounty on my follower of the way and make him stronger, Mr. Bounty deck. I don't know if that'll be a thing. But
Yeah, I don't know if bounties are going to be.
Give him snapshot reflexes. That's like he's now with a 3/5 that can attack you immediately. Like I don't know.
Snapshot reflexes is pretty good.
There's
there.
possibilities.
And then I mean, this feels way better if you have initiative, because if you're playing this in the Mando leader deck and you play this guy out, you have initiative. You play upgrade on him first action, then you tap down whatever they played in their round 1 with that.
Yeah, the snapshot reflexes exhaust your guy, attack your base for 3.
Yeah.
Deal with it. Yeah, no, that's good. The other card from earlier this week that I glossed over was This Is the Way. 2 cost heroism events. I think this was this. I can't remember if this was this week or late last week, but
it was last week.
Oh, yeah. So you search through the top 8 cards of your deck for up to 2 Mandalorian and/or upgrade cards, reveal them, and draw them. So very reminiscent of Prepare for Takeoff.
Prepare for Mandos.
Prepare for Mandos. You're looking for Mandalorians or upgrades. I don't know. Taxter, do you have any additional thoughts on this?
I mean, assuming we get a reasonable amount of Mandos here, that seems good. I feel like Prepare for Takeoff is still a decent card. It's just like there hasn't really been like a super fully vehicle deck kind of thing yet. I mean, there could be. Like if you're making like a wedge themed deck, which might be playable at some point, but like I feel like they're going to lean somewhat hard into these Mandos here, and just being able to play that to draw 2, like 2 for draw 2 and kind of see what you got. Like not just draw 2, but draw 2 from 8 in a heavy Mando deck. And it can pull upgrades too. So like the amount of cards it can actually hit are like probably really high percent. Like I don't think you're likely to miss if you're playing this.
It's why it's better than Prepare for Takeoff. Like,
and it's in heroism, so you can play it in any hero deck. So any deck you're going to play Mando with, or Mandos.
Yeah. I think the most interesting thing from it, like going back to what Garrett was talking about with Follower of the Way being Mandalorian, I think this is like the first sign that like Mandalorian tribal is probably going to be a thing in this set. Yeah, you've got something that's already looking for Mandalorian, and then we've got a Mandalorian.
You don't even need to run this with Mandalorians. Like if you're running a deck that needs a specific upgrade, you probably will run this.
We're just looking for your bounties. Let's go find them.
You can get bounties. You can get Luke's lightsaber.
Yeah, the interesting thing about like the search effect in this game compared to other games is that it's all from the top of the deck gone to the bottom instead of top of the deck shuffle. So you're guaranteed getting closer to the thing that you're pulling for, even if you don't hit the exact thing you're looking for one way or another. That's
a mechanic I love in this game.
Yeah,
like,
it's really
when I first read
cool.
it, I was like, that's cool. And then in action, it is awesome.
Yep. Moving on, just to like go back to what they talked about last week. They had their podcast or their stream that they talked about Smuggle. Like Smuggle was the big thing, and we already released like a quick hit 10-minute video. But we have four Smuggle cards that they preview: the Vigilant Pursuit Craft, the Privateer Crew, the Timely Intervention, and the Hotshot DL-44 Blaster. I was talking with Wyatt last time, so like let's talk to you guys. Like, yeah, Garrett, what do you think about Smuggle? What's your favorite one of the Smuggle series?
I like just like the mechanic a lot. I like knowing that just because I resource something doesn't mean it's gone. The one I think I really like the Vigilant Pursuit Craft a lot, because even though it's a 7 cost Smuggle, like that's when you want something like that coming down.
And that's the worst one. It's the crappiest System Patrol craft I've ever seen for 7.
Yeah, it's a 3/5 Sentinel that you
It's the
have in your
System
hand.
Patrol crap.
But it's a
System
3/5
Patrol
Sentinel. Like someone drops something
I mean,
big.
I
and
get
you
what you're saying.
Pop it out. Like it's not the best card of the Smuggles for sure, but I think for the kind of game I like to play, I like knowing like turn 1 I draw that. I'm not keeping that in my hand. That's going down.
I mean,
in a
yeah, it
resource.
incentivizes you to keep resourcing a little bit too, so that you can also like pay for them and like
Yeah, like
I mean,
I think it's a good like I'm putting this out now, and now you get to deal with it, and I've just survived another turn.
I think the ambush one is pretty cool, probably good. Mostly because it doesn't have a cap, and like, I mean, I don't know how much you're actually going to play it in all the decks, but like,
you can ambush big things.
The idea of like ambushing your big spaceships or
like Avenger,
the reinforcement
you defeat 2
walkers
units. Yeah,
like like that can be really strong. And like, there's a lot of times where like I have like those things and I'm not actually playing them until I have like 11 resources just because of the board state anyway. So like being able to get like the double kill kind of with that would be really big. I don't know. I think that one's probably one of the most interesting. The hotshot blaster can be probably good. It's a little expensive to like do the smuggle action.
I think like I talked about this before. I think the Hotshot Blaster is like probably going to be the most competitively playable of these.
I mean, it
it's
looks
the most
good.
interesting one to me because of what the smuggle cost is. Like that's interesting.
That it's in yellow too. Yeah.
Yeah. That it's if you have to play yellow if you want to play it at 3.
Yeah, I mean you're playing Surprise Strike. Like everyone right now is playing Surprise Strike. So this costs 1 more than Surprise Strike, but you get the +2 permanently as an upgrade.
Instead of a +3, like
instead of a +3, and it doesn't cost you a card. Like it's a free card.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Its
I mean,
value compared to Surprise Strike is very high.
Yeah,
I mean that's mainly with the smuggle penalty. Like at least everything costs at least 1 more because that's the like card draw essentially, like the effect of what you get from it.
The only thing about smuggle that scares me is how it's going to make some players have a very messy board state.
So fidgety.
Yeah,
just because I know how people are, and just we all know we've played card games. It's going to be a learning curve, I think, for some people.
I think my problem is I'm old and my memory's going, so I'm just going to be annoyed having to check my resources 3 times.
I mean, this is where you take the notes, I guess. Probably.
What did I have down there?
But that's even better because you can just bluff smuggle cards with that by checking them, and people don't know if you're checking them.
I don't have time for that. I'm going to be playing control decks, and they're going to be going to time all the time. So.
Right. That's when you look at a card, you count your resources, and you put it back down, and then they got to think about it.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Moving on to other things that they spoiled in that same thing. They showed us Cartel Turncoat as a bounty example, and this card is freaking insane. Like honestly.
Oh, the 1-cost ship. Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, 1-cost space unit. It's in Cunning Heroism. It's a 2/3 underworld vehicle fighter that has a bounty that lets your opponent draw a card. Which, like, if you're aggro, why do you care if they draw a card? Like, I'm gonna win before you play all your cards. Like, I don't care.
That's a yellow Sabine card right there.
Yeah, this card's insane. Yeah. It's hero, so I can, for a cause I believe in it. Like, I want 3 of these in my yellow Sabine right now.
If that ain't an answer,
I love seeing a Karaz fighter. I love seeing a Karaz fighter show up.
Is that what that type is?
I don't.
It's an X-wing.
You played X-wing, you know.
I did. Still do. That's from Star Wars Galaxies.
Oh, okay.
Talonbane Cobra.
I played Star Wars Galaxies back when it came out because I'm old like that.
It's in the intro to Star. I never played Star Wars Galaxies, but Talonbane Cobra is a character, a high initiative character in X-wing. Who is Talonbane Cobra? No clue. But they're apparently in the opening cutscene for Star Wars Galaxies.
Oh.
Yeah, and then let's see. The other card that they showed us was the blue event, Unexpected Escape. It's 1-cost, single vigilance aspect. You get to exhaust a unit, and you can rescue a captured card guarded by that unit. And they did kind of go into more detail in capture, but we haven't seen any other capture effects other than the Mandalorian's rifle. So, like, when you capture something, it removes it from play, and you put it face down underneath your unit, And then when your unit leaves play for any reason, like it gets rescued and the card comes back exhausted, which they covered that. And then Unexpected Escape, though, is like a way that you can rescue a captured card guarded by a unit without having to actually defeat the unit. But like even apart from that, it's a 1-cost event that lets you exhaust a unit, which seems really good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's good enough for constructed plays. I mean, the nice thing is it is unique to blue. This is the first time like blue just has like an exhaust, especially for like just a cheap thing, right? Like, I guess he was like suppressor AT-AT, but like that people aren't playing that. It's super expensive. Like this is the thing where like yellow has all those effects. This is the first time you have just like a cheap.
Yeah, weirdly, this is a trick, so Jabba can find it and play it for free.
Or play it for 2 out of aspect.
Yeah, we're playing for 2 out of aspect, but I do find that funny. Like it's a trick in blue, so Jabba can dig it up and you can play it for free.
Play it in blue Thrawn with Jabba's.
Yeah, Thrawn Jabba's blue. Like we're on to something. And then if your opponent does play capture stuff, right now just the rifle, you can do things. Good things. Anyway, that's kind of all the spoilers to talk about for the past couple weeks. Just some plugs. Like we've seen some news today coming out that stores are starting to get in their store showdown kits. And I think even a couple have showed up on the Event Search site. So like pay attention to your local game stores. Yeah, they're going to be announcing store showdowns, which we're supposed to start in May. Have your opportunity to win.
My local one that I run stuff at got it in today, so we're figuring out a date.
Yeah,
so I tried to ping the Wisconsin stores to see if anyone has gotten in their dates. Try to get that all posted.
All the maces you opened are about to become worthless.
That's great because I opened 0.
I'm not that excited for the maces personally, but I don't know if
it does look way cooler than I think the base messed up mace art. So I do like that. I find it really weird that if you win the event, you get 4 maces. I don't know why they went that direction.
Yeah.
There's going to be so many given out.
So you could have a play set and one for your master set.
Which makes me also feel like it's not going to be like, if people are trying to like sell these, like I don't even know if like maybe the first place one sells for more. I don't know. Like,
there's only one of them.
I know that like my friend recently like took second in the store championship for Lorcana, who just started their stuff, and like he got a playmat and a card for it, and like people are paying like $500 each for those apparently. So like that's a crazy like there's no way we're getting anywhere near that with maces. I don't think.
Well, I think they overvalued Mace, like how good Mace was going to be initially.
Still pretty good.
I mean, I don't
he's
think
fine.
He's
a fine character, but like I don't know if they did this.
I like Mace as a character. I'm not enthralled by him a whole lot in this game. They could have picked something better, like Vader. But then there'd be no Vader unit meta.
Yeah, give me set 3 like Twilight of the Republic for more Mace synergy. I think that might be the payoff there. But I don't know. I have a feeling that like the maces that are stamped finalist or winner or like whatever they are.
Fine, it's champion. I think
champion. Those will have value. Like there's only one of them per store showdown. Collectors are going to want to collect the whole set, and those are going to be harder to get a hold of.
That's true.
And I think the takedowns are all going to have value. Like people are going to want those takedowns.
I mean, a hyperspace takedown's like $8. So yeah, I think so too.
Right. Like that's a popular card.
It's like I think it's the most expensive uncommon hyperspace.
Judging one of them, so hopefully I'll get at least one. I don't know how many there are.
Supposedly,
in a kit, so.
Judge gets 4 of them, but I'm not 100% certain on that.
That would be cool.
That's what someone said in Discord earlier. I don't know how true that is. I have not seen an open pack, but that is what I was told earlier.
So, I mean,
maybe there's 4 in the kit, and that's if there's one judge.
Yeah, like you'd have more than one judge, like
maybe
depending on your store showdown. Probably.
I mean, I'm going to
one judge can. One judge that's not playing can run a store showdown of
that's
like
what I'm going to
35
do.
people reasonably enough.
I don't know. It's with the way this game has turned out, like I'd be scared for some of those areas. Like if one judge will be enough to handle. Like
you're going to need more than one if you have like 64 people. But like,
right?
32. If you have 32, one's fine. You don't need more than one.
Like I know we have like 60 to 70 players even locally where I'm at. And if they all descend on a store for a store showdown, it could get pretty crazy.
And those might even be more popular than the 1Ks because like they're technically lower stakes and
the entry fees should be way lower.
yeah.
They're more casual, I guess,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the point.
So they really
they're the most
might just
competitive
pull some
casual event. But yeah, anyway, that's all we had to talk about. We're coming up on our hour, so thank everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next time for the Star Wars Unlimited.
Oh wait, check out
Oh.
3 Minute Meta, our new series.
Oh, yeah.
We're working on that.
We're working on 3-minute metas.
Yeah, it's fun.
Plug that. I hope to do one of those. I saw the one that
What
Sean
deck do
put
you
out.
want? You can do the Leia.
I don't know. I wanted to do the Vader. Maybe nobody's doing the
Oh,
Vader
yeah, go
blue
ahead.
yet. I want to do some Vader blue. But yeah, I think that would be fun. Haven't got around to it, but I think that would be good. Anyway, yeah, check that out and look for other content. Hopefully, we do more quick hits, and we're trying to start to drum up some more content for our channel. So, and we're spinning back up our Discord, so keep an eye out for that. That's the thing that's happening.
Probably have a link in this one actually to it.
Yeah, hopefully I'll put one in the description. By the time I post this tomorrow, it'll be there. But all right, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.